Okay, so today we are going to talk about if-else and loops. Okay, so what is if-else? If-else, sometimes we give it a different name. We call it conditional clause. So if you read anywhere, you see this conditional clause. If you see anywhere, you see this conditional clause, it means if-else. Okay, so we can have a very simple example. Okay, so let me mute this. Okay, so I can have a number equal to maybe 100, right? They can have if number equal to 100. Then I'm going to print, I got 100. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, the first time we run the code, Google will try to connect to the Python engine, so it takes a while. Okay, you can see the output is I got 100 because number is 100. And this, we call it this a condition. Okay, so this is actually a condition. Condition meaning I'm going to check whether this is true or false. Right? If this is true, I'm going to print I got 100. If this is false, I'm not going to do anything. Okay, let's change this to 99. Okay, now number is 99. So this condition is false, right? Which means we shouldn't print I got 100. Let's try. Okay, you can see there's nothing here, right? Because this condition is false. Now, I can also decide if the condition is false, I'm going to do something else. Else, I will print, okay, I didn't get 100. Okay, now if we run this time, because number is 99, it's not 100. This is false. I'm going to else. So I'm going to print, I didn't get 100. Okay, so you have if else. When the condition is true, I'll do this. If the condition is not true, I'll go to else. I'll print, I didn't get 100. Okay, now let's look at another example. It could be, I'm checking the weather today. Okay, so let's say weather equal to, I want to get the input. Okay, input, is it raining today? Right, then I'm going to decide. If it's raining, I'll bring an umbrella. If it's not raining, I will not bring an umbrella. You can see Google Colab has this AI feature. It will just complete the code for me. Okay, so now let's run this. Is it raining today? Yes, it is raining at my place. So I'll put YES. Okay, so it will print, I will bring an umbrella, right? Because this condition is true. Now, let's run this again, but pretend that this time it's not raining. I'll put no. Okay, so it will print, I will not bring an umbrella. Okay, so you have if and else. Okay, there are times maybe I don't want to do an if else. Okay, I want to have two if. It's also possible. Okay, let's not change this example because I want to compare this with a different code. Okay, so I'm going to write another code, but this time, okay, I'm going to copy paste this and I'm going to make slight changes. Instead of else, right, I'll put if weather equal to no. Okay, if it's yes, I'll bring umbrella. If it's no, I will not bring umbrella. So if I run this, oh, there's an error here. Okay, I forgot a colon. Put a colon here, run the code again. Right, but this time, I'm not sure. Okay, so I'll put a maybe. If I put a maybe, what happens? If I put a maybe, that means weather equal to maybe, right? Is it the same as yes? No, it's not. It's maybe. So it's not yes. This condition is false. So I won't print this line, right? Is it no? It's not no, it's maybe. So I will not print this line as well. So when you have two if, I'll check this condition. I'll check this condition as well. But if we go back to this example, if I run this again and I put a maybe, what do you think is going to happen? Okay, let's try, okay? Try this. Now this example, if we put a maybe, because it's if else, right? So it will check. Is whether yes, it's not yes, it's maybe. So I won't do this, I'll come to else. Then I'll print, I will not bring umbrella. Okay, so else meaning as long as this condition is not true, I will come to else. Okay, but when you have two if, it will check both conditions. I'll check this condition, then I'll decide whether I want to do this. Then I'll check this condition, I'll decide whether I want to do this. Okay, so that's a difference. Okay, now in real life, it may not be so simple, right? It could be more than two scenarios. For example, if our students, if we give students different grades, right? We may give them A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so there are more than two scenarios. We can't use if else. That's not enough, right? Then what do? We can use something called if, else. Okay, so let's say I have the student's grade, right? Grade equal to input. What is, let's don't call this grade. I'll call this mark. I'll call this score. Okay, what is the student's score? Okay, suppose a teacher is marking the papers, right? What is the student's score? Okay, then I'm going to decide, based on the score, I'm going to decide whether I want to give this student A or B or C or D, right? Okay, so you can see AI already helped me complete this part. Okay, so let's just press the tab. You will turn this to your code. Okay, so we have covered before, any input is a string, right? If I want to change to an integer, I need to do int bracket. So I'm converting this score to an integer so that I compare it with 80, 90, 70, right? You just continue to do this. So if score is greater than 80, I'll print A, okay? Else if score is greater than or equal to O. You see, AI is really smart, okay? So for now, let's don't bother about whether it's really you are above 90, you will get an A. Just don't bother about details. Let's just look at this structure, right? If score is greater than or equal to 90, I'll print A. Else if, okay, so this else if is actually else if, okay, which means else, meaning score is already less than 90, right? If is for this condition, is greater than or equal to 80. So this scenario actually means my score is between 80 to 89 because I need to be greater than or equal to 80. At the same time, I need to be less than 90. So it's 80 to 89, I'll get B. Else if, now else here meaning my score is less than 80, but it is still above 70. So this scenario will mean 70 to 79, right? 70 to 79, I'll get a C. Else if score is greater than or equal to 60, so this will mean my score is from 60 to 69, right? Because else, that means my score is already less than 70. So 60 to 69, I'll get a D. Now else, lastly, we have an else. Else meaning all the other scenarios. In this scenario will be my score is less than 60, right? If it's less than 60, I'll get an F. Okay, now we can try this. If I run the code, okay, let's say I get 75. Okay, 75, what do we get? If my score is 75, this condition is false, right? So I'll come here. This condition is still false. Then I'll come here. Oh, this time it's true. So I'll get a C. That's why I get a C here. Okay, so this is when you have more than two scenarios. You can use if, else. You can have as many else if as you want, right? Maybe if I have 10 scenarios, I will have more else if here. Or you can choose not to have the else. If I don't have this else, meaning if I don't fall into any of these scenarios, I'll do nothing. Right? If I put else, meaning if I don't fall into any of the scenarios above, I'll print F. Okay, similarly, this else if you change to if, it's different. Okay, so let's copy the code. If I copy this code, I put it here, right? But this time, I'm going to change the else if to if. Okay, let's remove the L, which means we are removing else, right? The last one should remove, right? Okay, so I change the code so that I only have, how do I get rid of this? Okay, so I change the code. This time I'm have if, else. So this actually means that this is one block of the code, another block, and the last one, if else, is together. Okay, this time, if I put a score, let's say 75, we still use 75, okay? If I put 75, you can see that it will give me C and D. And why I get C and D? Because if your score is 75, this is false, right? So I don't do this. This is still false, I don't do it. But this one is true because it's 75. So I'll print C. But I still check this because these are two independent ifs. So after I get C, I will check, is it greater than or equal to 60? Yes, it's 75, right? So I will still get D. That's why you will get both C and D. Okay, so elif and if, they are different. Okay, let me see if there are any questions. Okay, I don't see any questions. Okay, let's continue, okay? So this is what we call, where is our title? Okay, this is what we call conditional clause. That means I have a condition. Then based on the condition is true or false, I'll decide what to do. Okay, now the next thing we want to talk about are actually loops. Let's put a title here, okay? I'm going to talk about loops. So you can bold this, you can change it to a heading. Okay, so I'm going to talk about loops. Okay, there are two types of loops we are going to talk about. Okay, the first loop is a for loop. Okay, loops meaning I'm going to repeat. I'm going to do something multiple times, right? So a for loop, let's do with the simplest for loop. Okay, I'll do for I in range 5. I'm going to print I. Okay, so if I run this code, what happens? Okay, it will give me 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, what does it mean? For I in range 5, it means that I is like a counter and it will start with 0. So I starts with 0. When I print I, I'll print 0. Okay, and next time, I is going to be 0 plus 1. It will be increased by 1. I become 1. Print I, I'll print 1. Okay, the next run, 1 plus 1, I become 2, I'll print 2. Then I'll print 3, I'll print 4. The next run, I become 4 plus 1, which is 5, right? But because I use for I in range 5, so once I reach 5, I need to stop. So I'm not going to print 5. I'll just stop here. Okay, so I'll print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so as we covered in the last live streaming, most of the counters in Python starts with 0. Okay, so we'll start with 0. Although we need to stop at 5, we start with 0 and we reach 4. And you can see we repeat this print I 5 times. Right. Okay, so there are scenarios, maybe I don't want to start from 0. I want to start from a different number. So what should I do? You can add one more number. For I in range 2, 5, I will print I. Okay, so if you run this, you will see I get 2, 3, 4. So this 2 is my starting value. Okay, so 2 is my starting value. That means I is going to start from 2. So when you print I, it will print 2. Then the next I is going to be 2 plus 1, which is 3, right? So when you print I, you print 3. The next value is 3 plus 1, which is 4, so you print 4. Now the next value is 4 plus 1 is 5. And remember 5 is our stopping value. Okay, so 5 is my stopping value. Okay, so once I reach 5, I'm going to stop. So I'm going to only print 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is when you want to have a starting value and you want to have your stopping value, right? Now, the next scenario is sometimes I don't want to increase by 1. I want to increase by maybe 2. Okay, so how are we going to handle that? We will add one more number. For I in range, okay, 2, let's change 5 to 10, right? Otherwise, we have two little numbers to print. Okay, so I'll do this, print I. Okay. For I in range 10 to print I. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, you can see the first two is still my starting value. So print I, I'll print 2. Now the next value is going to be 2 plus 2. Now the second 2 is my stepping value. Okay, the second 2 is, this 2 is my stepping value. That means how I change I in each round. Okay, so which means after I print 2, the next I is going to be 2 plus 2, which is 4. So print I will print 4. The next value is going to be 4 plus 2, I'll print 6. The next value, 6 plus 2, I print 8. Right? Next value, 8 plus 2, which is 10. And 10 is my stopping value. So I'm going to stop. So you'll have 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. Now the last scenario I want to cover is, what if I don't want I to increase? I want I to decrease. Okay, so how do I do the decrease? Okay, you may probably have guessed about it. I can do for I in range 10 to minus 2. See, the AI is very clever. Okay, for I in range 10 to minus 2. So it's similar. 10 is my starting value. 2 is my stopping value. Minus 2 is my step value. So when we run this, you will see the first printing value is 10 because I'm going to start from 10, right? So print I, I'll print 10. The next value is 10 minus 2, which is 8. Print I, I'll print 8. The next value is 8 minus 2, which is 6. I'll print 6. The next value is 6 minus 2. I'll print 4. Next value is 4 minus 2, which is 2. But 2 is my stopping value. So I'm going to stop here. I'll print 10, 8, 6, 4. Okay, so to summarize this, we have covered 4 different ways of writing the for loop. Right? If I only have one number inside this bracket, this number is my stopping value, and my starting value is 0. My step is 1. So I'll start from 0. Every time I'll increase I by 1. Until I reach the stopping value, I'll stop. Right? But I can also have 2 numbers inside the bracket. Now, first number is going to be my starting value. Second number is my stopping value. Okay, so which means I'm going to start with 2, but I still increase by 1 until I reach my stopping value. I'm going to stop. If I have 3 numbers inside the bracket, first number is my starting value, second number is my stopping value, and last number is my stepping value. Okay, that means how I is changed in each round. So I'll start from 2. But the next I is 2 plus 2 is 4. Next I is 4 plus 2, right? And if you change the step value to a minus number, which means your I is going to be decreased. Okay. Okay, now we have this for loop. Okay, we can use for loop to do something interesting, right? Because so far we just print I, it's very boring. Okay. Now I want to use for loop to solve a math problem. Okay, I want to use for loop to calculate the sum of all the numbers from 1 all the way to 100. Okay, I want to calculate this. You probably have learned this in mathematics class, right? There's a way to do it. Okay, but if we use Python, it's much easier. Okay, so I can do for I in range. Okay, you can see my I starts from 1, right? And what is my stopping value? Is it 100? It's not 100 because if I put 100 here, that means once I reach 100, I need to stop. I wouldn't be able to plus 100. So my stopping value is 101. Okay, and you can see from 1, 2, 3, every time it's increased by 1. So we don't need to put a stepping value. So I'll just do this. Okay, so my I will start from 1. And once it reaches 101, it will stop. So the last value added is 100. But if I want to calculate this, I need a variable to hold the result. So before this for, I'll do result. When I start, I'll just make result equal to 0. So it doesn't change my final value, right? Result equal to 0. Now for every I in this, I'm going to do result equal to result plus I. So which means when I start, I is 1. I'm going to add 1 to the result. The next I is 2. I'm going to add 2 to the result. Right? The next I is 3. I'm going to add 3 to the result. If you want to confirm it's doing the right thing, you can do print. Okay? Before I add I can print I'm adding I so that I can check, right? So for every I, I'm going to add I, then I'm going to add the I. Okay. Then after this for loop, I'm going to print the sum is, okay, I'm going to get string result. Okay, let's try this. Okay, so if I run this, oh, there's an error. Where's the type error? Oh, okay. Here, we need to change it to a string as well. Okay, later I'll explain why. Okay, so run this. Okay, you can see you can see here, right? Let me scroll. Adding 1, adding 2, you add all the way until we add 100. So we'll get 5050, which is correct. Okay, now let's look at just now the error. Okay, why do I need to put the str here? Okay, because this I is a number, right? For I in this range, that means I is a number. If I is a number, I cannot just do like this. I cannot do string plus a number. It will give me an error. What I need to do is I need to convert this number to a string. So stri, convert it to a string. Similar here, result is also a number. So I need to convert it to a string before I can put it together with another string. Okay, there's a question. Do we need to declare I as an integer? We don't need to do that. Okay, in other languages, you will need to do, like in C#, you need to declare all the types of variables, right? Python is very easy. You don't need to declare that. So you just use it. Like even the result, we never declare the type, right? We just use it. Okay, so this is, oh, it's very long. Okay, so this our result is 5050. Okay. Okay, now because this is very long, it's very hard to scroll. I'm going to delete this line, okay? After you confirm that it's doing the right thing, we can delete this. We run again, we'll just get the sum. Okay, there's something we need to take note is here. You can see I have 2 spaces here. Why do I have 2 spaces? These 2 spaces are actually telling us that this result equal to result plus I is inside my for loop. That means for every I value, I need to do this, right? And you look at this line, print, there is no extra spaces in front, which means this print is at the same level as my for loop, right? So vertically, they are aligned. It's at the same level as my for loop, which means after I finish the for loop, I'll do the print. I'll only do it once. Okay. Okay, so this is to calculate the sum of all the numbers from 1 to 100, right? What if now I want to change it a little bit? Instead of calculating all the numbers, I want to calculate the even numbers. Okay, so now I'm going to change it. I'm going to calculate 2 plus 4 plus 6. Okay, then all the way to plus 100. Okay, so how I'm going to do this? I can still use the same for loop. But this time, instead of adding every I, before I add the I, I'm going to check, is I an even number? If this I is an even number, I'm going to add it to the result. If this I is an odd number, I'm not going to add it. Okay, so we can do like this. Result, or still need to start from 0, right? For I in range from 1 to 101. Okay, it suggests me another way to do it. Let's do it differently first. Okay, so for every I, okay, if I mod 2, so this percentage sign meaning mod. Mod meaning I divided by 2 I want to take the remainder as the result. So if I divided by 2, the remainder is 0, which means I is an even number, right? If I is an even number, I'm going to add I to the result. If I is an odd number, I'm not going to do anything. After for loop, we can print out the result. Okay, you can see this time we get 2550. Now, something for us to take note. You see here, there are 2 spaces, which means my if is inside the for loop. And here I have another 2 spaces here, right? So which means this result equal to result plus I is inside the if. So you can see the hierarchy, right? Only inside the for loop, I'm going to check if I is an even number. Only if I is an even number, I'm going to add it to the result. Okay, so we will get the result of all the even numbers. Right? Now, what if I also want the sum of all the odd numbers? Okay, I want to use one for loop to calculate the sum of all the even numbers and the sum of all the odd numbers. Now, I need 2 variables to hold the 2 values, right? So I'm going to result even equal to 0, okay? And result odd also equal to 0. Okay, now for I in this range, the same range, right? If I is an even number, I'm going to add I to result even. Now else, meaning I is an odd number, I'm going to add I to result odd. So if I is an even number, add it to this result. Else, I is an odd number, I will add it to the result odd. Okay, now when we print, we need to print both, right? The sum of even numbers is, okay, let me make this smaller. Okay, the sum of all the even numbers is result even. Okay, then I'll add another line to print the sum of all the odd numbers. The sum of odd numbers is result odd. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, you can get both values using just one for loop. Right, so this we use a for loop and the if else that we learned at the beginning of this session. Right, I have a for loop, I have if and else. Okay, so that's for loop. I also shared with you earlier that there are 2 types of loops, right? For loop and a while loop. So next we are going to look at while loop. Okay. While loop. Okay, so what is a while loop? Okay, while loop looks like this. For example, if I still want to print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'll put I equal to 0. While I is less than 5, I will do print I. Okay, after that, I will do I equal to I plus 1. Okay, so run this. We also get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this means first I give I a value, which is 0, right? Next, I'm going to check, is I less than 5? 0 is less than 5. So this is also a condition. Okay, so this condition is true. When the condition is true, I'm going to do whatever is inside the while loop. So I'm going to print I, which is print 0. Next, I'm going to increase I by 1. So I become 1. Okay, and because while is a loop, once I finish the last line inside the loop, I'm going to go back to line 2. I'm going to check, is I still less than 5? I is 1 now, so it's still less than 5. I'm going to print I, which is going to print 1. After that, I'm going to increase I by 1. I become 2, right? I'll go back to line 2, check, is I still less than 5? 2 is still less than 5, so I'm going to print 2. Now increase I become 3. Is 3 still less than 5? Yes, print 3. Is 4 still less than 5? Yes, print 4. Now the next I become 5. When I go back to line 2, I'm going to check, is I less than 5? I is already 5. 5 is not less than 5, right? So this condition become false. When this condition become false, I'm done with the while loop. Okay, I finish it. Okay, so this is also a condition. Okay, as long as the condition is true, I'm going to do the loop. I'm going to go back to check if the condition is still true. If it's true, I'm going to do the loop again. Okay, so this is how while loop works. Okay, so this is same as the for loop here, right? For I in range 5, print I, I'll print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, similarly here. Okay, so I start from 0. As long as it is less than 5, I'm going to print I. I'm going to increase I by 1. Okay, so this is while loop. Now, the difference between for loop and while loop is that when you have a for loop, okay, you must know the number of times you're going to repeat. Okay, let's say for I in range 5, we know that we are going to do it 5 times, right? We must know how many times you're going to do. For the while loop, okay, for the while loop, it's okay if you know it, you can do it, right? Like this one. I know I'm going to repeat 5 times, so I can use a while loop. Or it's okay that you don't know. If I don't know how many times I'm going to repeat, I can still use a while loop. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's use a user input. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Continue to work. Okay, continue to work. Okay, I'm going to input. Are you going to continue? Are you going to continue to work? Okay, so I'm expecting a yes or no. I can't see my screen. Give me a moment. Let me see. Okay, yes or no. Right. Okay. So I'm asking a question. Are you going to continue to work? Yes or no? Then I'm going to check. Okay. Well, this is equal to yes. Okay. As long as user answer me a yes, I'll print, I'll continue to work. Then I'll ask again. So you have no idea how many times this person is going to answer yes. But as long as he answers yes, I'll do this. Then I'll ask again. Okay, so let's run this. Right, it's going to ask me the question, are you going to continue to work? Then I put yes. Okay, what happens if I put a yes? Once I put a yes, this condition is true. So it's going to print, I will continue to work. I'll continue to work, right? Then it's going to ask me the question again. Okay, this time, if I answer yes, which means this is yes. Now, when I go back to line 2 to check the condition is still true. So I'll print this line again. I will continue to work. Then I'll ask the question again. So as long as I put a yes, the condition is true, I'm going to continue the loop. And when are we going to stop? We're going to stop the loop when this condition becomes false. That means my answer is not yes, then I'm going to stop. Okay, so let's put a no. Once I put a no, you can see once I put a no, there is no more, there's nothing else, right? So if I put a no, which means I answer a no when I check this condition is false. So I finish the while loop. I'm not going to do it anymore. And because we have no code after the while loop, right? We have nothing after the while loop. That's why here we don't see any results. Okay, while loop is more flexible. Yes, while loop is more flexible. Whether you know how many times you want to repeat or you don't know how many times you're going to repeat, you can use a while loop. Now think about this scenario. Are we able to use a for loop? It's not possible, right? If you want to use a for loop, you need to do for I in range. Now, I don't know how many times I'm going to repeat, so I can't even put a number in the bracket, right? So there's no way to use a for loop here. Okay, so that's the difference between a for loop and a while loop. Okay. Okay, it's not a video. Yeah, it's not a video, it's a live. It's a live streaming session, it's not a video. Okay. So I don't see any other questions. Okay, that's all for today. Okay, so I'm going to do another live streaming session after dinner. Okay, I haven't decided what time yet. Okay, so I'll see you after dinner. For now, I will just end this session first. I'm going to go for my dinner. Then I'll see you after dinner. Okay, thanks for asking the questions. I even saw I got a heart and a rose. Thank you. Okay, although I don't really know how to pronounce your name, is Friends of Noble Grace, is it? Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to end the session. Bye-bye. Okay, it's my pleasure, Kaya. Okay, bye-bye. See you after dinner.